What if I told you that the greatest footballer on the planet once had nothing but a hungry stomach and a pair of worn-out shoes? Before the 5 Ballon d'Or awards, before the private jets, and before the 500 million followers, there was only a boy with a heart too big for his tiny island. This is not just a story about sports. It is a blueprint for escaping your limits. Today, I want to share a narrative that will profoundly ignite your inner fire. It is the chronicle of a man who ascended from bone-deep poverty to become the most iconic and wealthiest athlete in existence. We recognize Cristiano Ronaldo as a worldwide phenomenon, a superstar residing in grand mansions, steering elite supercars, and commanding the adoration of billions across the globe. But how many of us truly comprehend the brutal architecture of his success? How many recognize the silent? What if I told you that the greatest footballer on the planet once had nothing but a hungry stomach and a pair of worn-out shoes? Before the 5 Ballon d'Or awards, before the private jets, and before the 500 million followers, there was only a boy with a heart too big for his tiny island. This is not just a story about sports. It is a blueprint for escaping your limits. Today, I want to share a narrative that will profoundly ignite your inner fire. It is the chronicle of a man who ascended from bone-deep poverty to become the most iconic and wealthiest athlete in existence. We recognize Cristiano Ronaldo as a worldwide phenomenon, a superstar residing in grand mansions, steering elite supercars, and commanding the adoration of billions across the globe. But how many of us truly comprehend the brutal architecture of his success? How many recognize the silent agony, the massive sacrifices, and the relentless, iron-willed determination that forged his soul? By the conclusion of this story, you will understand that Cristiano Ronaldo is far more than a footballer. He is a living monument to discipline, an icon of resilience, and a testament to unshakable self-belief. He stands as the most followed individual on earth today, yet his journey did not originate with fame, riches, or a safety net. Let us journey back to the foundation, to the modest beginnings of a child armed with nothing but a massive dream. Cristiano Ronaldo dos Santos Aveiro entered this world on February 5, 1985, in Funchal, Madeira, a rugged, small island in Portugal. He was the youngest of 4 children in a family struggling to survive. His father, José Denis Aveiro, labored as a humble gardener, earning barely enough to sustain the household. His mother, Maria Dolores, worked tirelessly as a cook and a cleaner to shield her children from the harsh edges of poverty. Life was a constant battle. They occupied a cramped house devoid of any luxury. Frequently, there simply wasn't enough food to go around. His mother often surrendered her own portions so her children would not have to sleep with empty stomachs. His father was a diligent man but fought a losing war with alcoholism. This struggle created deep emotional shadows within their home. Ronaldo admired his father immensely, yet he witnessed the devastating toll that addiction extracted from their lives. In 2005, when Cristiano was a mere 20 years old, his father passed away. The loss shattered his heart, but it simultaneously forged a titanium motivation within him. He made a sacred vow to himself that he would reach the pinnacle and bring honor to his family's name. From his earliest years, Ronaldo was possessed by football. He played barefoot on the dusty streets of Madeira. If a real ball was unavailable, he improvised with whatever materials he could find. His peers occasionally mocked him because he approached the game with such intense gravity, but he remained indifferent. He possessed a crystalline vision to become the undisputed best player on the planet.
At 8 years old, he joined a local club named Andorinha, where his father assisted as a kit man. Even then, his extraordinary gift was undeniable. He was swifter and more focused than any other boy on the pitch. By the age of 10, his reputation had already spread across the region. Some teammates labeled him a crybaby because he wept whenever they suffered a defeat. However, those tears were the first sparks of a competitive fire that would eventually define an entire era of football. At 12 years old, he made the most agonizing decision of his youth. He abandoned his home and family to join the Sporting CP Academy in Lisbon. It was his first experience of true isolation. He felt paralyzed by homesickness. Many nights were spent crying in the dark. He yearned for his mother and the familiar shores of his island. Yet he clung to his mother's parting words, "You are our only hope. Remain strong." Those words became his shield. At the academy, he endured relentless bullying because of his thick island accent and his fragile, thin frame. Instead of retreating or quitting, he chose to outwork everyone. He trained with a manic intensity while others rested. Gradually, the coaches were mesmerized by his blistering speed and his supernatural control over the ball. When he reached 15, a medical crisis threatened everything. Doctors identified a heart condition that caused his pulse to race dangerously fast. This could have terminated his career before it even launched. He faced a binary choice: abandon his dream forever or risk a high-stakes heart surgery. For him, there was no debate. Football was his heartbeat. He chose the blade. The operation was a success, and miraculously, he returned to the training field just days later. This moment was the ultimate proof of his fearless spirit. After his recovery, his focus became legendary. While other teenagers pursued fleeting pleasures, Ronaldo labored. He was the first to arrive and the last to leave the pitch. He meticulously engineered his weak foot. He practiced his aerial headers until they were perfect. His appetite for self-improvement was bottomless. At 16, he ascended to Sporting CP's senior squad. In 2003, at age 18, Sporting hosted a friendly against the giants Manchester United. That single match altered the course of history. Ronaldo's velocity and technical wizardry stunned the world. After the final whistle, the iconic Sir Alex Ferguson refused to leave without signing him. Within days, Ronaldo was bound for Manchester. Adapting to England was a monumental challenge. He struggled with the language. The climate was freezing, and the style of play was punishingly physical. Critics were quick to doubt his potential. In response, he simply worked harder than any human alive. He refined his physique through grueling fitness regimes. He purged every unhealthy habit from his life. He recognized that discipline is the only true bridge to greatness. By 2007, he propelled Manchester United to a Premier League title. In 2008, he exploded with 42 goals, securing both the league and the UEFA Champions League trophy. That year, he claimed his first Ballon d'Or, officially becoming the greatest player on earth. In 2009, he moved to Real Madrid for a staggering world record fee. In Spain, he reached a godlike level of performance. Season after season, he demolished ancient records. He scored goals that seemed to defy the laws of physics. He entered into a historic rivalry with Lionel Messi, a legendary clash that pushed him to transcend his own limits. In 2014, he guided Real Madrid to the Decima, their 10th Champions League title. The club continued its dominance with more trophies in 2016, 2017, and 2018. Ronaldo became the greatest goal scorer in the history of the tournament. He collected 5 Ballon d'Ors and cemented his legacy among the immortals of the sport. At 33, an age when most players retire, He shocked the world by joining Juventus. Skeptics claimed he was too old for the Italian league. Once again, he silenced them. He scored relentlessly and conquered titles in Italy, becoming the first player in history to score 50 goals in the Premier League, La Liga, and Serie A. In 2021, he made an emotional homecoming to Manchester United. Even in his late 30s, he continued to find the net and serve as a beacon of inspiration for the next generation. Away from the bright lights, Ronaldo is a fiercely devoted father and partner. His bond with Georgina Rodriguez has provided the emotional stability required to stay at the top. He frequently reminds the world that family is his ultimate sanctuary and greatest strength. In 2022, he endured a devastating tragedy when one of his newborn twins passed away. It was a moment of profound, shattering pain. Yet he stood as a pillar of strength for his family. This proved that his true power is not found in his muscles, but in his unbreakable spirit. Throughout his journey, he has contributed millions to hospitals, schools, and humanitarian causes. He lives by the philosophy that true success involves lifting others as you rise. Cristiano Ronaldo's odyssey from a hungry boy in Madeira to the greatest athlete in history is far more than a sports documentary. It is a masterclass in belief, sacrifice, and the relentless pursuit of excellence. Most people abandon their passions when things get difficult. They choose the comfort of the average. But Ronaldo chose the discomfort of courage. He chose massive action. He chose to believe in his own light when the rest of the world was in darkness. His life offers us vital lessons for our own journeys. Stop making excuses for your circumstances. Stop blaming your history for your present. Work significantly harder than anyone else in the room. Remain humble.